Good morning, everyone. Happy Vijayadashmi to all the viewers. Today, we will look at what exactly is this marriage counseling. It's also called as marital therapy, couple therapy. So, we will divide it into two episodes. In today's episode, we'll mainly look at it from the perspective of uh, what marital therapy is about and what are the common kind of couples who usually approach for marital therapy and who are who is suitable and for whom it can benefit and who are the couples who may not benefit much with this marital therapy. And finally, we'll close the discussion with what are the common causes of this marital distress or marital problems. In the second episode, coming week, we will look at mainly focusing on what happens in these marital therapy counseling sessions. How do we conduct them? What are the stages involved and what kind of therapies that are offered? What specialization or kind of therapies that are offered, and also how much it is successful. So these are the therapy related aspects we'll mainly look in the next episode. So in today's episode, we'll mainly focus on what is this marital therapy, what are the common causes with which couple approach, and who can benefit, who cannot benefit, and the causes for marital difficulties. So these are the points that we are going to look at in today's episode. Marital therapy or couple therapy. It's also called couple therapy because, like I mentioned in the first episode when we started the um, premarital counseling as a first episode on marital area, I mentioned the point that the therapy that we are looking at or the counseling is whatever the techniques or the dynamics that I am discussing here are suitable for all kinds of couples who are legally married or also who are in live-in relationships. So keeping a broad spectrum of partners or couples approaching for marital therapy. So the methods that we are discussing here are equally suitable for both kinds of marital couples. So looking at what is this marital therapy is all about. What is this marriage counseling? So marriage counseling is where when the couples have marital difficulties or we call it marital distress. Generally, couples, even after recognizing that there are problems in their marriage, they usually take a minimum of 5 to 6 years by the time they actually take a decision to come for therapy. So this is mostly seen in most of the couples, as the research says. And naturally, when by the time they reach the marital counseling, the difficulties are like we said, the trouble knots or the knots are too difficult to untie, and then success also depends on the same. So the more distressed the couple come into therapy, the less is the success or the positive outcome of the therapy. So that's how we can look at it. So one important aspect is women are more favorable towards marital therapy compared to men. Again, this is based on the research-based papers. So they are more open and more willing to work out on their difficulties, and they are the ones who are more keen on approaching for marital therapy. So, and not the least, when the couples also having one of the partner having some psychological conditions, like we have discussed in our psychoeducation series, could be depression, could be anxiety, or could be different kinds of psychological conditions where one of the couple is suffering with, and then there are subsequent marital difficulties is also where the couples approach for marriage counseling. So these are the just a basic understanding about uh, what is difficulties and what kind of couples and the the uh, possibilities that we are looking forward. So looking at what kind of couples or what are the usual problems that couples come up with. So problems like couples having communication problems, couples having difficulty in problem solving and unable to resolve the long term or short term also issues, unable to solve them. We call it conflict resolution, lack of resolution or lack of problem solving capabilities. Couples having sexual difficulties, couples having problems in role definition, like who does what, who will contribute in what way to the relationship. Couples also come for that kind of issues. And couples also having issues related to uh, couples also having issues related to, like I said, sexual relationships, and also couples having emotional. Mainly, the important aspect is couples having emotional injuries. So these are a specific kind of couples where some major life events where one of the partner feels that been injured. It could be a breaking of trust where one of the partner having an extramarital affair, or it could be something like one of the partner, especially when the female, the wife side, when they are not being supported as part of the child related kind of pregnancy, during not taken care during the pregnancy, or immediate childbirth adjustments, or these kind of where they are left with some emotional hurt. Couples having these kind of emotional hurt where they are unable to relate to each other also approach for therapy. And also couples where some of the couples having control issues, behavior control issues, like anger, partners having issues with the anger control, and partners having like repeated threats of self-harm, behavioral lack of behavior control. These are the common kind of couples who approach for marital therapy. So, looking at who can benefit from this marital therapy can be beneficial to couples having issues, like I said, having communication issues, where couples having difficulties in having healthy interaction, um, and couples who are having issues with the problem solving, difficulties with the different, as the differences are being more and more aware, problems related to that, adjustments related to that. And people who are having like who are people who are having issues related to emotional attachment, where they have some issues in attachment with their parents, can also sometimes reflected with the way that they relate to the spouse. So in such cases also, a good amount of marital work, where the other partner being more supportive, can help the partner to handle the past conflicts. So these are some of the couples who are more, for whom the couple therapy or the marital therapy is more beneficial. And also couples who are having issues with the sexual relationship. So that itself is a separate section of therapy, which we will discuss in the next episode. Couples having different issues related to mainly psychogenic kind of issues related to sexual problem, libido related, or those kind of issues that having difficulties where they are unable to relate. So some of the couples project that as a main problem, or sometimes it can come up in the part as part of the discussion when we are dealing with other difficulties of marital relationship. So these are the couples who can benefit from the marriage counseling. So like I said, the less distressed are more benefited, and then people who are generally more distressed come with an opinion that this is the last resort, or this is the last choice that we want to give it a try. Usually kind of look at each other as a way of either who will change, or trying to prove each other, which may not be very beneficial for the relationship in the long run. So where one partner is already not very keen on marital therapy because they think that it is solely the other partner who is responsible for the problems, these kind of in spite of efforts from the therapist or skills used, sometimes the distress level is so high that they might end up in a premature, or stop attending counseling sessions half the way, and then it may not be very beneficial. So looking at who are the couples to whom it is not suitable, or it may not be helpful much. Couples who are already, one of the partner has already taken a decision to separate, either legal or otherwise, who has already taken a decision, and they enter into the therapy with only as a way of resolving it in a more amicable way. So it can only reduce the emotional hurt, while the other partner is still wanting to continue the relationship, may not be very suitable. And a person, one of the partner who's unwilling to give up the extramarital affair, also is not very helpful to work through this marital therapy. And where there are personality issues, where the person is like we have discussed in the personality disorders in our psychoeducation series, where the person is motivated very less, and then it is part of their nature, and then it's posing difficulties to the partner living with them, where there is a personality disorder as a strong component. um, First they need to take individual therapy and insight oriented self reflective kind of work. Only then we can look at couple therapy as a next step. And also in relationship where there is a high physical abuse, could be because of substance abuse, or because of issues related to uncontrollable anger, aggression. In such conditions, first we need to work through the settling down the batterer before we actually look at couple sessions. So these are the conditions. And also where there are emotional issues, and one of the partners suffering with a diagnosed psychological disorder need to take individual help before we look at marital therapy. So these are some of the couples who may not benefit much by the marital therapy. Looking at the last section of our today's episode, what are the causes for common causes for these marital distress or marital difficulties. So looking at the common difficulties, mainly where there are difficulties in interaction. So here the person who is one of the partner is already expecting a kind of criticism from the other partner. Usually, let us say that we take a hypothetical situation where one of the partner who is expecting criticism when questioned about some usual day-to-day household work not being completed by the other partner, in a very neutral tone or in a non-threatening tone, also might perceive that that the other person is being critical or pointing at fault, and then they can start becoming very critical about it, while the partner who has asked in a very normal tone might feel attacked, and then the counter attack starts. So these relationships are reciprocal. So like we also discussed in our previous episodes, it is difficult to say that the chain of events are such that we cannot pinpoint and say that it started here or it ended here. So anyone can uh, uh, stop anywhere, or anyone can highlight anything exaggerating. So couples or the partners expecting criticism from the other partner, where usually it flares up, is one reason that we commonly see. And second thing is reactivity. So if couples are highly reactive, if we take the same hypothetical example of the previous, had the person who is expecting a criticism from the other partner is not really looking at expecting a criticism, and then when the partner questions about the work not being done, might answer in a very straightforward way the reason why it is not completed, and then there may not be so much of emotional kind of battle there. So reactiveness is also highly reactive, or being very touchy is also one of the reason where one partner feels kind of very attacked, and then there is a kind of blame game or defenses, withdrawing, anger, resentment. These kind of emotions come into uh, the relationship, and then start adding more difficulties to the relationship. So looking at the other aspect, the lack of reward. See, when couples started relating to each other, whatever the simple, nice things that they were doing for each other over a period of time, they might stop doing. There is no reward in the relationship, and then partners might think that they are, they are taken for granted, or they are not being valued anymore, or looked down on, or put down on. These kind of lack of reward in the relationship is also could be one of the reason for all these difficulties. And these are the common causes where the couples might come up with relational issues. And also couples having problems in resolving conflicts. So there can be a jamming up of problems over a period of time. Couples who are not very unsure or unable to resolve these conflicts over a period of time will only add more and more conflicts, and then the relationship might end up becoming very difficult to handle. So these are some of the causes that we find when couples approach with marital distress. So in the next episode, we will look at, mainly we'll focus on what happens in the sessions, what exactly we do in these sessions, and how many hours usually is recommended, and what are the different kind of stages. There are different stages to the marital therapy, and we look at what are the different kinds of therapies we can do, especially in our center. And then we look at how successful is this marital therapy. So I wish you all one more time happy Vijayadashami, and thank you.